Hello, people. Welcome this afternoon for a brief conversation on this important topic, and people have been asking a lot on the issue of the cybersecurity, uh, how to get into cybersecurity, how to transit from another profession, from IT, maybe to grow into cybersecurity. And I want to first introduce myself. I am Frederick, uh, and I lead a team at Secunix Technology, which we founded back in 2010. And also, I am a vice president at Kenya Cybersecurity and Forensics Association, which has been there for the last around 6 years now. And we exist to empower professionals, empower students to be able to understand how to navigate on the area of cybersecurity. But of course, technology, because I have a background in computer science, software programming, and having grown into different realms of information technology, um, I now feel that I have authority to advise someone who may consider to partake cybersecurity as a career. The journey has not been easy, considering that most of things, especially where there's a lack of a mentor or someone who is willing to guide you accordingly, you may do a number of mistakes. Some of these mistakes are a bit expensive. You may lose 2 3 years of trying to wander um, in the wilderness, and that's why it is upon ourselves now that we have acquired a number of networks. We have acquired skills, experience to now reach out and start sharing our journey as well. So my journey has not been easy, considering that as I have shared, you need someone to guide you. So most of the time, you may make a number of mistakes, especially for me, because I started with a company, and you are in computer science. You are trained to deal with machines. You are trained to code, but now here you are running a company, and you are not told that you can work through passion, but when it comes to payment, the customer refuses to pay. No matter how well the software or the system is working, they refuse to pay, and you resort to some crude ways of asking for your money. And it has been a very exciting journey to learn one, two, three things. So our focus this afternoon is on the issue of transition into cybersecurity, and why I feel this is the best time to handle such a conversation is because, courtesy of the rapid increase and growth in information technology, um, we know we have so much need, so much demand for cybersecurity professionals, people who can be able to do something practical, not wannabes, not people who are just talking out there, but someone who can be able to deliver a value to a customer or to someone else. I believe this is the best time now that we have much awareness within the government. You can walk into any government institution, and when you talk of cybersecurity, someone in that department has a bit of information, what it entails, courtesy of many hacking issues and related cases. Also, the public now, they have a glimpse into the world of hacking, courtesy of the IBC, the elections, all the allegations of hacking on our votes. So the public now knows that there's something called cybersecurity, cybercrime, hacking, and this is the best time for anyone who is considering to venture into cybersecurity. You may venture for different reasons, but if you venture into cybersecurity with a mindset of making some quick bucks, you are going to be disappointed because you really have to have added some value into yourself for this value to also overflow and to other people, and that's how they are able to reward you or to compensate you or in form of cash. And I have encountered a number of people, some working for like 10 years. So there are others who have just finished their school, maybe campus, college, and they took information technology. Some of them took computer science, but they are unable to know or to get accurate information, and courtesy of overload of information and knowledge all over the internet. You go to YouTube, someone tells you that you must start with a certification in ethical hacking. Another person tells you that you have to go back to university and partake a course in this and that. Another one tells you, no, you need a mentor, you don't need all these people. Another one tells you that you need to volunteer in a company who are providing cybersecurity. Another one tells you you need to register as a member of a certain association. So there's so much information overload, to a point where many people are confused. They don't know what are they supposed to do. And in the next few minutes, we are going to look at this important topic. And this will be a weekly, it will be a weekly conversation through this platform, so that we can drive this conversation and help someone who is out there who genuinely need to get into cybersecurity. So the first question is to ask ourselves: is there a demand when it comes to cybersecurity? And when I'm talking of cybersecurity, I am also including digital forensics. I'm including data protection, all this as one career. So yes, currently there's a demand. Why? The rapid growth of information technology. If you look within the government, the language now is digital transformation, and there will be a lot of digital stuffs that are happening, like digitization, digitalization. We have free Wi-Fi being provided by the government. We have digital hubs which are being established within the counties. So all this rapid growth in IT is what necessitate for there to be a demand for people who can be able to protect the same infrastructure. One of the challenges that we have identified with the government is they move along with a strategy, but they do not consider the security implication of the same strategy they are driving. For instance, we are now into digital transformation conversation, but we have not seen much effort being pushed to encourage and promote cyber risk as a conversation, so that whoever are the proponents of this specific concept, they can also give cybersecurity some ample time for people to also think, wait a minute, yes, we are moving into digital transformation. So why are we moving? Because we have digital economy blueprint, where we want to achieve one, two, three. We have some SDG, some sustainable development goal, which can only be actualized through technology. But at the same time, the goals that are there for us to move into digital transformation, they can also be hampered by lack of security, for a lack of a better word. So if the same digital transformation is impacted negatively through some cyber breaches, then the outcome may not be realized as it was, intended. And therefore, this is the best time for you to arise as a cybersecurity expert, for you to start understanding which area of all this conversation are you going to be part of. So someone is coming from IT background, and you want to join or to venture into cybersecurity, either as a consultant or maybe working under someone or providing solution, maybe as an entrepreneur. It is a journey, it is a process, and it requires a lot of discipline and consistency. It requires a lot of persistence from you. It requires a lot of building of capacity, and you have to give yourself some time. For instance, assuming that you are already in the information technology industry, you are in computer science, you are in BBIT, all these, you have worked for 5 years, for 10 years, and now you feel that this is now the time for you to transit into maybe cybersecurity, and you need somehow accurate knowledge for you to know on how to navigate and manage the change. So one of the key advice that I usually give most of the people is in the information technology or the computer science that you're already practicing, there must be an area that you have already specialized in. For instance, let's say you work for a circle, for instance, you're the one in charge of databases. So for you, let's say MySQL, IBM DB2, Postgres, um, Oracle, and all that. So there must be things that you do within the database. Maybe you manage user creations, you manage database management. I mean, monitoring the health of the database or ensuring that the database server is running. So based on your current specialization, you now feel you want to shift your focus into cybersecurity. And one of the key advice is that you need first to analyze where you are, analyze the resources in terms of the skill that you have, and identify what is it that you can be able to do where you are currently. You do not need to you don't need to change your job and apply for a cybersecurity job. No, you can take advantage of the environment that you have, assuming you are employed somewhere in charge of the database. You can actually start from there. There are so many options for you to do virtualization. You can take VirtualBox simply because it's free of charge. It is also very simple. You can set it up on a Windows platform. Then you pick a few virtual machines on the internet. There's Kali Linux as one of the distribution for cybersecurity experts and the students of cybersecurity want to learn practically. But as you think on how to transit into cybersecurity, it is important first to understand where you are. If you are in a technical field, um, you will be transiting into the technical side of cybersecurity. It is possible for you to be in cybersecurity, but somehow you are not the one doing the terminals, hacking here and there, but probably you are there to guide. For instance, data protection. You are there somehow to counter check the privacy policies, data protection policies, guiding organizations through data protection impact assessment, assisting them in compliance related matters. And you need to know where you are coming from. If let's say you're in the database, you have now to look at cybersecurity using the database lenses. So you have to get this clear. So you have to look at cybersecurity, not that you want to venture into cybersecurity to become a black hat hacker or something. So you need to look at cybersecurity from the lenses of a database administrator, assuming you are working as a database administrator. So what do you know in databases? You know how to install a database, you know how to monitor the health of the database, you know how to back up the database, you know how to write a policy on database management system, you know how to counter check the hardware, the server where the database is running. So all you need to do is now to start changing your perspective um, um, into the cybersecurity, but through the database. So somehow there may be no many extra things and new things that you are going to learn apart from building on the knowledge that you already have. The problem is shifting from database management system or database administrator into now ethical hacker within 1 month. That is not going to work. because some of these processes are very organic and very natural. You have to allow yourself to grow. Otherwise, you are going to attract a lot of disappointment, and eventually you are going to give up. You will try this certification, you will try this. Let us use a case study of someone who is already practicing database administration. So there are things that you can do currently within the database area. You can install, you can monitor the health of the database, you can backup, you can configure, you can support, you can check the port number, you can interact with the interface of the database, you can delete, you can drop the tables, you can use the database terminal to select, to insert, to update, to manage, to operate a database. These are the same skills that you are going now to translate into cybersecurity. So you now start asking yourself, how can the 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 the, the database host, that is the operating system that is hosting the database, how can you secure that database server? Number two, uh, the question of how, it will result into what do you need. You need a tool called DB audit check or something. Number two, you need to know which port number is this database running on or listening on. So the listening of the database on a certain port is not a cybersecurity skill, but you need it so that you can build upon your knowledge and skill in cybersecurity. Then you ask yourself, how can you secure the database itself? Another one, how can you secure the access to the database? So the database maybe is connected to a web application. So are there any security mechanism or security measures that have been applied to secure this database uh, from um, uh, from illegal access or unauthorized access? So as you do this, what you do not know is that you are already growing, you're already culturing your mind to start thinking from a security perspective. So you are not running out of the room saying that, wait, this is the next hacker, the next ethical hacker. Because for you to grow into becoming an ethical hacker and all that, it is a process of growth, and you cannot force it. And when you force it, these gaps are going to be very clear when people look at you trying to demonstrate something. We will be able to see a lot of gaps in terms of your knowledge and skills. So build on what you have. You already have database. You are working as a database administrator. Start from there. You may not even have to look for another job. So what you can do is learn as much as possible on how to secure the database. Start looking at the database that you are managing from the or through the lenses of security. So how can we prevent someone from maybe running a drop command within the database? So go to the internet, check what are the checklist for a Postgres database. Which are the security checklist for you to set up a very secure database management system? So the database is running, whether it is on the cloud or on a local environment. It must be running on a virtual machine, a container, a virtual box, a virtualization, microservices, all those things. But how can you secure where the database is hosted? Number one. And there are so many resources for you to be able to know. Number two, how can you secure now the database management system? It is a system that is comprised of so many things. After that, how can you now secure the database itself, the tables, the different tables, the database itself, maybe the .sql, if it is Microsoft SQL Server. Um, how can you prevent someone from running specific command within the SQL query window? What measures can you be able to do? Do this consistently for 1 month. Then try to look at or monitor and evaluate on the measure of skill that you have gained. Be very intentional about it. If you are talking of, let's say, Microsoft SQL Server, look at it as a database administrator and look at it as a security person. So if you were a hacker and you wanted to breach the database, what would you be looking for? Then go to the internet, go to YouTube, try to see how to compromise a database application, how to compromise a database server. From there, how now to secure. So you're operating as offensive from the offensive side and the defensive side. And that's how now you keep building on that knowledge that you are gaining. Keep building on that knowledge. Keep building on that knowledge. Look for some challenges online. Look for some questions that has to do with database security. Is there, have you, have you taken maybe a certification in database management, for instance? Would you consider a database security certification? Are they out there? If you go to Udemy, can you build your knowledge around database security? So it is only after you have now exhausted your perspective to the database as a security expert or a security person that you now start thinking of how about now the network where the database is. How can you now start to to think about setting up a secure network into the database, because the database is hosted, let's say, on the cloud, or it's hosted internally. There must be a network through which people access, either people access the database, or the applications open connections to the database, whether it is through APIs or any other thing, proxy, all that. So you now, it is only after you have exhausted on the part of the database, looking at the database from the lenses of a security person. Ask yourself, what could go wrong with the database? It can be hacked. The server can crash. The server can be stolen. So if the server is stolen, what do I need to do? You need to have a backup. Do you know how to do backups? So if you don't know how to do backups, read based on the database management that you are using. If you are using Microsoft SQL Server, acquaint yourself on how to do the backup for the database. Backup is a part of security realm, because when it comes to backup, and as you keep now growing within the database as a security person in database, you are going to encounter business continuity plans. You are going to encounter disaster recovery plans. And this will come only after you have looked at the database from a security perspective, from the lenses of a security person. Yes, you have not officially partaken maybe a certification in cybersecurity on database, but you have started to shift your mind. The transition first happens in the mind. You have to allow your mind to be transformed from the IT, looking at the database from IT perspective, into looking at the database from security perspective as a security person. In the meantime, reach out to any person that online. There are people who are already professionals in database security. Reach out to them, reach out to them. Try to follow them on social medias. Try to see how do you identify, different issues with the database. How do you ensure the database is healthy? So I'm also contextualizing your knowledge in network security through the lenses of the database. You are coming into network security as a database person. I don't want to confuse you. So you already you have built a solid, experience and skill in database. It is not worth it for you to drop the skill of database simply because you want to venture into cybersecurity. All I'm saying is this: there are very few cybersecurity experts who are able to manage securing databases, and you'll be one of them. And it will not stop you from now becoming a fully fledged cybersecurity person, where now you can look at wireless networks, you can look at application softwares, you can do reverse engineering, you can do server security, you can do encryptions, you can do all these manners of things. But there must be a proof of growth process. You cannot in these things, they are not growth hacks. You have to allow yourself to organically grow into different realms of security. Give yourself 1 year, for instance. So within the next 3 months, you must already have understood the security aspect of the database. You should even set up the same database, you clone it on a virtual machine, in your machine, and then you try now to exercise some different tools in hacking database, SQL injection, if it has web applications, you can do XSS and other cyber threats which are out there. As you do that, there's common fundamental principles. For instance, the basics in cybersecurity: understand what is cybersecurity, what is cybercrime, understand what are port numbers. And we are assuming, because this conversation is for those who are already practicing, they're already practicing in a certain field or career in cybersecurity, but they need to have a transition from whatever they are doing, from network engineer, from blockchain engineer, from artificial intelligence engineer, from network engineer, from database engineer, from web application specialist, from data protection specialist into cybersecurity. So don't now do away with the skills that you have built over years. So the other day I met someone about 1 year ago, and they were doing web applications, coding in different frameworks. Very sharp person, and they wanted to transit into cybersecurity, and they were already registering for certified ethical hacker. But I asked them, are you sure that you really want to register for that certification unless someone is paying for it? Because you may have the certification, but you have not gained any skill. So we sat down with them, we crafted a very good program with them, and this program we looked at their current skill in management of web applications. They are very good in coding. They are very good in APIs. They are very good in PHP and different frameworks. And now they want to shift their focus into cybersecurity. And we started where they were. They already have hands-on skill in web application. So they started looking at the websites and web application they are building from security perspective. They looked at the codes they have already built now from the lenses of a cybersecurity person. They started asking themselves, wait a minute, we do sessions, we have session IDs, but wait a minute, how come um, we do not um, we do not encrypt some of these things? What if we consider using tokens? How are we managing the communication between the web application and the database? How about considering restricting access between the web application and the database? Now they were asking the right question. After that, they were able to set up a virtual lab, um, which is VirtualBox. And through VirtualBox, they started learning the basics in cybersecurity. What is port numbers? What are the different layers of security? The OSI, which is fundamental, and to maybe everyone working in IT. And in a period of 6 months, they already had their bearing, and they exactly knew which software, which certification that they wanted to do. So they never wasted their 12 years working as web programmers or web developers just simply because they have shifted into cybersecurity. Actually, it is now 1 year down the line. The person is still doing web application development. But 80% of his time he is spending working on cybersecurity projects. And he does not just do any other project, he is doing web security projects. If you bring a database security project to him, he will say that that one I can do in the next 2 years, but not for now. And he has more than enough. So he is managing the web application developer. So he is able to pay for his bills as he keep exercising in web security. So the same websites that he's building, the same web application he is developing, he is applying his own security skills to secure the same. So he's already growing in the realm of web application development, at the same time in the web application security. But you see, he has started with where he is and what he has. So try to limit as much as possible where you are going to be dependent on someone or something for you to manage the transition. Start the transition where you are. Like now, they are now learning, bulb suit. Bulb is, is for management of sessions, trying to manipulate sessions in a web application. If you give bulb to, or you tell someone doing network security to learn bulb, unless it's just for personal use and all that, if they are in network security and you tell them to study bulb, you are wasting their time. Somehow, the chances of them using bulb suit is almost zero. So why not tell them to study Wireshark? So when you come to web security, during the first year of their learning, if you teach them Wireshark, somehow you may be wasting their time. Because for them, they want to focus with the web. They need to know web has so many things. They need to look at which is the framework, the security standard they can use. For instance, we have the OWASP top 10. They start from there. Can they do SQL injection? So which tool do they need to learn so that they can know how to do SQL injection? When it comes to issues of port numbers, they want to identify which services, which ports are open in this web application. They now have also grown into um, looking at the servers which are hosting the web application, the cloud systems, the containers, the Dockers, the Kubernetes. So they are now looking at those platforms from a security lenses. But remember, it is only after they have grasped the knowledge of web from a security perspective. So they are not going into doing even before they grasp any hands-on for cybersecurity, they are not venturing into taking certified ethical hacker. Myself, I have already taken that certification and it is active. But I took the certification after 10 years of growth into cybersecurity. So I have grown into network security. So when I go to a place where there is a firewall and it is not working, I can troubleshoot the firewall. I can make sure it runs. At the same time, I can also assess the effectiveness of the firewall settings and configurations. When you give me a database, I can be able to set up the database. I can be able to counter check. I can analyze. I can take a few backups. I can analyze the backups, and I can also secure the database. Now, after that, after you have already grasped the area that you are coming from, it is now after that that you now consider having or taking a certification in that area. So give yourself time, evaluate, monitor your growth, few things that will help you, being consistent. Without consistency, with only passion, you are going to be very frustrated. Number two, have a timeline to it. Let's say in the next 1 month, in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months, I must be able to secure the database server. in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I can be able to secure the web application. Do not enter into cybersecurity as an industry, as a geek. So there are people who are in cybersecurity as geeks. Geeks is for mostly is for immature people. You want to show people you can run a tool, yet you do not even know how to program that specific tool. So don't enter, and I know if you have worked for like let's say 5 years, 10 years, that geek mentality, you have already dropped it down. So you are now, you want to be established in a certain area within cybersecurity or a certain realm with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has different realms. There are web, there are application, mobiles. You know, we have now AI, we have blockchains, we have databases, we have softwares. You know, we have then within cybersecurity we have penetration testing, we have risk, we have governance, we have vulnerability assessment. Um, all these realms, you enter or graduate into these different realms through a process of growth. So if you are transiting into cybersecurity from another career, the minimum time according to the experience and through interacting with different people who are already doing it, um, don't give yourself less than 1 year. So you need some form of mentorship for the first like 3 to 6 months for someone to guide you accurately. So right now there are things there is every cybersecurity information out there. This information is not curated for you. So you need the information in a very methodical way. What do you learn at the when? So is there a need for you to learn Wireshark, yet you want to learn about web security or web application security? Probably in the first 6 months or 1 year, you may not see the need of you learning Wireshark, which is a network analysis tool. Probably after 1 year, there will be that need for you to study Wireshark. Why? Because you also need to know if the network where these web servers are hosted, they are also secure. So the immediate need is not for you to know how to run Wireshark. No, the immediate need is to how do I look at this server as a security person. So keep changing the mindset. So the more you are doing that, you are now culturing yourself as a cybersecurity person. Look for virtual meetings online, attend online boot camps, look for conferences, physical conferences that has to do with web. Be very specific. One thing I have seen with web, with cybersecurity in the region, is that people don't focus. They are jumping all over. Come to database, yes, I am a database security expert. Yet they have never even, they do not even know how to set up that database in the first place. Yet they want to secure the database, but they don't know. Most, you can imagine a mechanic who can change an engine, but they don't know how to drive the car. Yes, it is possible for you to change the engine without knowing how to drive, but one of these days when you are changing the engine, there will be a need for you to test the engine after you have done like 1 kilometer of testing. So are you going to call someone else after you have changed the engine to come and test the engine for you? Which is the best skill to learn? You first learn how to drive the car, then you learn how engine work, then you learn how to dismantle the engine, then you learn how to bring it back, then you learn how to troubleshoot the engine. You cannot do this in one day. So do not it is not a 100 race, 100 meters